Hello, everybody. It's great to see you all. Welcome back to our channel, Relationship Builders Forum. My name is Amara.
And my name is Gospel.
Yes, I know you'll be wondering, oh, what are we doing today? Today we're going to be talking about mind your relationship. So we're going to be having this conversation today. And I just want to warmly welcome all of you to this conversation today. And I'm sure you guys are having a wonderful time wherever you are. Please just let us know on the chat function where you're watching from. It'll be great to know, how many of those who've got in the room, where you are based, what you're currently doing. That would be great to get to know you guys.
Yeah, it's a weekend and so many people have so many things going on. Some people are going for wedding, family outing,
That's
and
true.
all of those. And
Yep.
you've made the time to join in this conversation. So we'd like to know, how is it going in your environment? What's going on in your area? What's the party? What's going on? And family time, usually weekends, family people have the opportunity to stay with family members after days work and all of those. So it's good to know that you're still in our circle,
Yes,
to listen to what we have to say.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And I also want to say that it's not us talking to you now. It's a network, it's a community, and we want us to have this interaction together.
Mm-hmm.
If we are sharing things we believe are the things that are related to the topic area, you can also chime in. You can share your points. Obviously, we would be happy to flash your comments.
Yeah.
If you have questions, we'll be happy to share our views as well in relation to your comments.
Yeah, so it'll be great because, like my husband said, we're going to be having a conversation. So it's not just us talking at you. So it'll be great to know your point of view as well. So thank you, Foundation for Family Affairs, for joining in. We see you guys. You're warmly welcome once again. Telma, it's great to have you join us all the way from Scotland. Fantastic. And Adia, great to see you as well. So we're going to be talking today about minding your marriage. That's what we are. Minding your relationship, actually.
Mind your relationship.
But we'll be getting into talking about minding your marriage. So I just want to warmly again welcome all of you.
Yeah, before we go into that, I even as we are talking, I remember 2 weeks ago, we had this fantastic conversation exclusive. If you are part of it, just let us know on the comment section. Yes, if you've seen that video, if you are part of that interaction where an expert, she said she's a
sexologist.
Yes. I almost said physiologist. Whatever it is. She came in and she blew my mind.
Yes.
How about you?
Yeah.
And what has been your experience? I think my experience has been, wow, that's the only way to, explain, to just summarize what she's smiling. It tells you a lot about what's been happening in the bedroom, because she told us what we can do to spice up our sexual life. And if you're married, you've not taken on board some of those practical tips, I really, really feel sorry for you. Because I'm having a fantastic time.
You're having a blast, right?
What about you?
Well, it's good. Yeah, I'm having a blast.
Just is good. Just is good. It's not good enough. Tell us what.
Well, it's been amazing. It's been amazing experience, and I would say yes. I would say that having that sort of information, getting to the the nitty gritty of what to do and how to do it was really useful for me, especially. I mean, I'm sure my husband also would attest to that. So it was a fantastic time just gaining that knowledge and having to experiment that knowledge. At least I had the opportunity to do that. So it's been amazing. It's been amazing. So we want to say, if you're new here, if you're new to our channel, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you know when we put content out. Like we said, we're building a community. So, feel free to also like this video, share the content with people would benefit as well.
Yeah.
So let's now get back into what we're going to be talking about today, which is mind your relationship, because that's what we want to talk about. And I want to first of all start by saying that our mind is very powerful. A lot of times I think people underestimate the how powerful the mind is. and why we don't utilize the mind enough. And in talking about it with respect to our relationship, I'm just looking down on my notes because we're going to be having kind of a conversation today. And it's all about, in the context of relationship, it's all about you being intentional, you being able to create the kind of relationship that you desire. And it's not just you wishing that you have that relationship, but it's all about you working towards making sure that this is the kind of relationship I want. So how do I go about creating this relationship? So if you desire a successful marriage, for instance, you think about, what are the strategies? How do I map out strategies? How do I map out, what are the principles that will guide me to make this happen? And then you focus pretty much on implementing those strategies, isn't it?
Yes.
Because a lot of times people talk about having a wonderful relationship, having a wonderful marriage, but they do not pay attention to, how do I actually make this happen?
Yeah.
What are the strategies that I need to kind of put out there, or I need to take on board in order to actualize this dream that I have? So it's very, very important. So it's not just a wish. It shouldn't just be a wish, but it should be something that you are really intentionally working towards. Okay.
Yeah.
Just, for those who are just joining us now, welcome again. Amicable, it's great to always see you. Hi, welcome to our channel once more. And to all other people that are joining, it's always great to see you.
Yeah. So when we say mind your relationship, it's like saying mind your business. Because life, there are so many distractions, things that could put you, that could take you away from the focus.
Yeah.
If you understand the power of focus, and you understand that your relationship, for those of you that are married, we are looking at your marriage.
Yeah.
And you're saying that your marriage is really, really important to you. You have to mind it. You have to be intentional. You have to narrow down on it and ensure that it works the way it needs to work.
Pay attention to
pay attention. There is noise everywhere.
Yeah.
Social media noise, comparing yourself with other people. They are doing this, they are doing that. It is your relationship. It is your business. And I made a post the other time, said, mind your business is actually in the Bible for Christians.
Yeah.
So God also wants you to mind your marriage, because if it fails, it is you that is responsible for that. So it is your business. If I have a $1 billion business and I want to ensure that that business doesn't fail, it means I have to put in all the strategies there, have the best hands, employ the best hands, get my structure in place, and ensure that my business keeps booming and booming. Someone like Bezos, for instance, he has Amazon and he's doing everything possible to keep scaling up.
Yeah.
The sky is not even his limit. He's doing amazing. So if you see your marriage as something that is valuable beyond money, beyond how much money you could have in your bank account, and you know that this is the most important thing, your wife is for me, my wife is the most important person in my life, then I need to mind my business. I need to mind my marriage to ensure that we have the best of it, blissful, successful, wonderful, amazing. I can go on and on to describe what I want to experience in my marriage.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people are currently, like, you're married, but you're not present in your relationship. So a lot of people are absent in their relationship. You're kind of not focused on, tending to your relationship and making sure that your relationship is actually working out. So you're kind of just living in your relationship. It's just like you're in a kind of default mode. You're just doing it as it's, the days come by, nothing so exciting. So basically you're not being present in your marriage. You're not being present in your relationship. You're not conscious about your marriage, so you're kind of just taking things as it is. So basically, when we talk about minding your relationship, or let's bring it down to minding your marriage, we are talking about being conscious in your marriage. Now, some of you might be asking, what does this mean? What does this mean to be conscious? Someone say, oh, consciousness means to be awake, basically, like to be present in your marriage. Now, we have a definition here that we kind of coined out of what a conscious marriage is. So here, I'll just read it out to you. It says, a conscious marriage is a marriage where the people are willing to take responsibility for their own actions or their reactions. And it's just you being very clear about it. So you're kind of taking responsibility, personally speaking. So whatever goes on in my relationship, it's not always about saying, oh, it's his fault, he didn't do it well. It's me taking responsibility for my action. It's me taking responsibility for my reaction in the relationship. And I think that this is very important because you need to be clear about your value. Now, and this is where a lot of people fail, because when you're comparing yourself or you're comparing your relationship or your marriage with someone else, you need to bear in mind that the values are different. So my relationship values would definitely be different from yours. So you create your values. And it's so sad that in a lot of relationships now, they don't have a value. They don't have like principles that guide them. And this is kind of a rallying point, especially when you're faced with some difficulties. It's a go-to moment. It's a go-to place to help resolve these things. So it's very important that you have set values and you kind of define your relationship based on those set values. You kind of thinking about, how can I honor myself? How can I honor my husband? How can I honor my children in this relationship?
Yeah. Conscious marriage, well, some people sleep in their marriage, if I would make it that literal in terms of my explanation. Some people sleep in their marriage, it's just default mode. We are married and that's done. We keep going, But any successful marriage out there, trust me, some people are conscious. They are doing things intentionally, and you can't leave it to by default, or you can't even leave it by chance or expect that, we live in a culture where people don't want to engage in the process. We want to boycott the process and enjoy the benefits. No, it doesn't work that way. And you can just say, you know what, let's just flow, let's just roll. You keep rolling and you lose out the core things that have kept you guys together, But if you know for sure that you're deliberate about, I always say this, deliberate about building yourself, making yourself that worthy partner or that worthy spouse that your husband or your wife who married you 1 year ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, is always happy and motivated to be with. Because you keep growing. Life is progressive. But if your growth is stunted, where you're not developing yourself, you're not becoming the better version of you, and obviously there will be that disparity, there will be a gap, because if she is speaking A, you're speaking Z, your
not on the
your
same
life is
tangent.
not in alignment.
Absolutely.
Because life is progressive. So for me, I think it's really important that we are intentional about how we develop ourselves, because it starts with us. If I turn out to be a guy who is not consistent with the things I've been doing to ensure that our marriage is working, you would realize that our marriage will start moving in a different direction. So I keep on working on myself, renewing my mind. You talked about mind earlier. And that's a very important point, because the mind is what transforms our behavior. It starts with your thought process, what you're thinking about, which creates your belief system, and your belief system will always influence your actions, whether by default, conscious or unconscious. You do things because we are programming ourselves as we are thinking. It's
true.
all in the mind.
That's true.
So I focus on being the best version of me, so that when I look at myself, I know, yes, I'm not who I used to be.
That's true. Absolutely.
Before we now go to the next part of delivering the best
for
the other person.
That's true. That's true, because you know a lot of people come into relationship for their own benefits. So you find that a lot of people are in a relationship and say, "Oh, how would this benefit? You know, how would this relationship benefit me? How would it help to solve my personal need?" And most times when you come in there, you know, it's like, okay, fine, this thing is working. So if you're new in a relationship, that's likely to work for you for a couple of years. But then after that, you have to think about what's going to be our long-term strategy. You know, how do we kind of take this beyond just for my own personal benefit, or you know, kind of a relationship of convenience basically. So you need to think about, you know, how do I intentionally grow in my relationship? Because you can't just be stuck in a place. You know, my husband, for example, gospel that is now is not the gospel I married, you know, like 12 years ago. So a lot has changed about him, and I have to be intentional about, you know, developing myself, you know, growing myself, you know, to be to accommodate some of the, either there might be excesses, there might be things that are maybe not in excess, but things that are deficient in some ways, right? So I need to be growing. I need to be able to strive towards something bigger than self gratification, something bigger than just me fulfilling my personal goals, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm
it's
actually.
still you're saying the point. Maybe I would request that our audience, those who are watching or listening to what we're saying, can also make some comments. What do they think about minding your business, about personal growth, and how that influence one's relationship going forward? But adding to what you said, it's still down to self-development, because who you are is what you give in that marriage. Is not, there are no two ways about it, because um, I look at it this way: marriage is just like a neutral concept. It's positive if positive people come into it, is negative if
Negative
negative
people
people
come into
come
it.
into it and create whatever they want. So my point is focus on being the best you.
Yeah,
Because the best you will always deliver the best product.
that's true.
You can't give what you don't have. So if you want to mind your relationship, it's not about looking at the relationship as an external thing, but it's about looking at you that delivers in the relationship.
That's true.
How do I become the best me? Because there's always room for improvement. I always say this myself: where you are today is not the best that you can be.
That's true.
Wherever area you look at it, whether it's finance, whether it's education, whether it's your career, whatever you're doing, there is always room to do better. Even this thing we're discussing now, the video we're doing, there's always a room
for
to do it better.
Yeah.
So how do you move beyond where you are to be the best that you can be? Because every human being, I see human being as a house full of potentials, full of energy, full of so much
Absolutely.
that needs to be, unraveled.
Yeah.
That needs to be
unpacked. Yeah.
Unpacked.
Yeah.
So you need to stretch yourself. Stretching is key. Stretch your mind, stretch your capacity, stretch your physical self, because you need to be fit. You know, where we have to say mind your relationship, there is so much to it. You need to be fit. You need to be, if I die now, I don't have any relationship to
mind.
do.
Yeah, that's true.
So I need to be fit. I need to work on myself to be the best version of me. Once I am the best me, in character, in competence, in commitment, in every sphere, then,
or striving to be the best you,
is also,
because there's always something to
there is always a
to.
better version of each best of you.
Yeah.
That gives you the opportunity to deliver the best. It becomes a natural thing.
That's true. Absolutely.
And people will enjoy you because wow, this guy is
It's amazing. Now, there's something one of our audience have actually pointed out. Foundation for Family Affairs says we give a lot of attention to cars, and that's looking at MOT. Because a lot of people now, like in the UK, for example, every car is taken into a garage, for MOT, just like a health check for a car, basically. But our marriage deserves more attention. Just not even cars. Just think about even clothes people put on, our hair for ladies.
Yeah,
like,
you guys take your time.
We take our
to
skin,
make up and
exactly.
do all the, you know,
beauty checks, our skin.
Wow.
Just think about all the things, all the routines that you're involved with on a daily basis. You actually pay attention to those. You even pay attention to feeding yourself because you need your body to be in the right, like you were saying, in the right frame. But a lot of us do not pay attention to just this relationship, this marriage that brings so much joy to us. So it's very important that we pay attention. And he's actually said, focus on being the best you. He's trying to iterate the point that you said. There is always room for improvement. Always. There's always room for improvement. So it's very important that we focus on that. Now, moving on, and I just also want to welcome everyone who is joining us. Some people have just joined in again. Those watching us on Facebook and those watching us live on YouTube, you're all warmly welcome. Now, let's talk about the steps. So how can we mind? What are the steps that we need to take?
I think we've already started talking about the steps, because we've talked about personal development.
Yes.
That's a step which links to personal growth.
Yeah.
Because that personal growth will also reflect on the overall growth of the marriage. For instance, if I am growing and you are growing, you are growing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you can see that based on our growth, our marriage is growing. Because we are focused on being the best version of us.
Yes, that's
and
true.
I also want to point out that as you're working on those steps to becoming the best version of you, you don't have to look at what other people are doing, because your marriage is basically your marriage.
That's true.
Your life is basically your life. And you don't have to compare. You don't have to maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But growth comes when we focus on becoming the best version of us.
Now, let me say something, because I love the fact that you talked about growth. That growth is a process. Because don't expect that overnight. Some people get married. Like I said before, we are all at different phases of our relationship. We are all at different points in our relationship. And sometimes we have to be patient with the growth process.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to explain something very, very important, because a lot of times in the growth process, we neglect certain things. We don't put certain things into consideration in the course of our growth process.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to say is that do not be so much attached to the outcome. Because a lot of times people are thinking about growth. They're thinking about, oh, this is going to be the outcome of my growth process. This is the outcome of me gaining something. Don't be so concerned. Don't be so fixated on, I want to be the best. I want to get here. I want to be the best wife. I want to be the best husband in my relationship. But I want to say that it is very important that you also appreciate the process. Yeah. It's a process. And sometimes we get ourselves into a lot of pressure when we are not at that point of perfection, in quotes, in our relationship. So we need to be patient, even with our spouses. We have to be patient with our spouses as well, because we are all work in progress. Everyone came into that relationship with our own mindset, with our own, sort of like upbringing and all of those kind of things. So it's very important that we are patient with the process. Now, I would also want to highlight a comment by Pastor Princess. Good to see you. It says, I agree with Amara that there is a need to grow, to accommodate each other, because I have heard people divorce as they claim to have grown apart. Okay, so again,
I think that's a very important point she made, because if, like you're saying about being patient with the process, if you discover that someone you're married to is not there yet, you have to help the person. You see, most times when I write about marriage, I always give more responsibility to the men, because from my understanding of marriage, men have to take the lead. So, and in that sense, a man is supposed to help the wife, even though it's mutual. Growth is, support is mutual in marriage.
That's true.
The key responsibility is for the man to nurture the wife. So if it is my responsibility to help you grow, I should not leave you in limbo when you're trying to grow and become that person. It means as you're growing, just like children when they grow,
Mhm.
you make mistakes. There should be accommodation for those mistakes.
That's true.
There should be patience. When you say you love someone, you have to be patient with the person.
An overdose of
Yes,
patience.
love is about being patient.
Yeah.
Love is about not always picking faults. Love is about seeing the best in that person. As you do that, you encourage the person to grow and become the best. In the process, the person will make mistakes, but you still have
to accommodate
those mistakes. And obviously, if you give up on that person because you think the person is not where the person or where you expect the person to be,
mm-hmm.
you have already given up on love.
Yeah. I like what you said. See, growth is not always easy.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times we emphasize, oh, you have to grow out of this. You by now in this marriage, you should have known better.
Yeah, but it took a process to get to that form of behavior, whatever it is.
That's what I'm saying. That it's not always easy. You know, people get used to thinking or behaving in a certain way. And sometimes just taking that step in itself could be scary for the individual. You know, it could be something overwhelming for the individual. And this is where they need a lot of support. You know, they need a lot of encouragement. And it takes a lot to take that bold step to say, look, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to be different in my relationship. And I think this is where if they have an enabling support system, then it helps the growth process. It helps them to embark on that growth journey. On that journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also want to add to what you just said now. I see it this way. What the person is doing is not based on is not because of you. You can influence that growth process in terms of enforcing it. That's the word. You can enforce the growth process.
That's true.
Of your spouse. What you have to do is to enforce the growth process of yourself.
Yes.
I was speaking to a couple this morning. I said to them, you can control how you feel. You can control what you do. You can control your ability to transform or change to become the best. But don't ever try to control how your spouse grows or what your spouse becomes.
That's true.
His actions or inactions are beyond your circle of influence. And once you understand that, it helps you to focus on your personal growth to be the best that you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. We've got a comment from Mr. Bob saying he loves the conversation. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for joining in. And he's got a question. He says, is it necessary to pay some attention, pardon me, desired for marital couple as regards to singles in a relationship?
Okay, same attention desired for married couples as regards to single in a relationship.
Well, maybe he's saying that we're focusing so much on
No, he's asking.
Okay.
We're saying growth process and everything.
Yeah.
Should you give the same attention that you give to married relationship or couples to
single relationships?
Yeah, if I understood that question.
Yes, I think that's what he's saying. So basically,
is it necessary to pay the same attention?
Let me just say here that, look, it is important to value relationship. It's very important because in marriage, or before we got into marriage, we first of all had a relationship as single people. And you know, it's all about mutual respect. Because
so should you pay the same attention that you're paying in marriage
to single
when you're single
in a relationship? Well, it depends on the dynamics of the relationship. It depends on the stage of the relationship. Like if it's a relationship that is leading towards marriage, so you're actually in a courting relationship, and maybe this is where Bob might maybe have to shed more light on that
because
question.
You need to understand what kind of attention you're looking at.
Yes.
If it's about behavior change, you can't change someone before marriage, even in marriage.
That's true.
If it's about looking at values that are complementary, things you want to see in a spouse before marriage, marriage, and you're not seeing those things before marriage, it's a pointer that can I take this? should I move on rather than being in this marriage? But the other thing I also want to say is that whatever you see in your relationship before marriage is going to be expanded within the marriage. Any behavior issue that you're not comfortable with before marriage is going to be expressed in a higher dimension in marriage. Growth process that you need for your marriage starts before marriage.
That's true.
So develop yourself, pay attention to be the best version of you, talk to whoever you want to get married to ensure that you guys are on the same trajectory or the same focus before marriage. Because if it's not there before marriage,
then there'll be a lot of things to struggle with. There'll be a lot of things. Yes, there'll be a lot of things to struggle with. So okay, he's clarifying.
So
he says basically yes, on behavioral attitude.
As if I knew his mind. If those behavior issues are not dealt with before marriage, and you know that there are things you cannot cope with, obviously my advice is a broken relationship is always better than a broken marriage. But if,
I want to say, look, it's difficult to fix people.
You can't fix them, but if let's not even make it absolute thing here. But if there is flexibility for growth, you see that this person wants to learn, this person is not finished, it's not a finished product, but this person is willing to learn, then there is hope. All I can say.
I want to say that's the key. Like, the person has to be willing. There's always a saying that says you can force a horse to the pond, you cannot force the horse to drink. All you can do is to, encourage someone to learn, encourage someone, but that person has to own the journey, own the growth process. I cannot grow on your behalf. You have to be willing, you have to take on, it's a responsibility that you personally have to be willing to show, that you have to be willing to embark on that process. And with the supports, and feel free to communicate, because a lot of people feel like I'm in this journey, I'm in this process, and they want to isolate themselves. And this is where you could encounter a lot of challenges where you want to isolate yourself. You can draw a lot of strength from just being in that sort of community.
And if you can't deal before marriage, you can't deal with that before marriage.
If it's a deal breaker,
please move.
Yes.
Let's go back to what we're saying. I think we've talked about growth as a step. We've talked about developing yourself. You've talked about, what else have you talked about?
I think we've looked at all of that particular bit.
So the other thing I also want to say is that prioritize your oneness. Prioritize your intimacy, your togetherness. There are barriers, there are things that would always come in between the two of you. It could be external forces, external influence. It could be when you're going through a difficult journey, a difficult moment of your marriage, and external influence could be from your siblings, family, extended family members.
That's true.
Because they want to direct the affairs of your
relationship,
how the relationship will go, and how you will deal with certain issues. It could be job loss. Maybe someone has lost a job and things are not working. It could be financial issue. It could be transition. Maybe you've moved from where you were, and you've traveled to a different country, and you're trying to
adjust
to the new environment. There are several things that could come between you and your spouse and want to separate you guys. It could be misunderstanding, conflict in marriage. It happens. But we always say that your marriage
is more important.
Your relationship, your oneness, the beauty
that you share,
the thing that you going on between you is more important than every other thing. So prioritize your oneness. If it's not happening, if things are not the way they need to be, you know that there's a wall. You're sleeping at night, you can't even cross your hand on your wife because you feel that there is that barrier. It's time to have a talk.
Now, let me say, because again, this links back to why we are doing this live today. about the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we talk about oneness, a lot of times you talked about the things that could, be a barrier to our oneness. It's all down to how we process what's our experience, how we process, what we encounter. For example, the conflicts that we are faced with. Because again, you process it in a certain way, you begin to react, you begin to behave in a certain way. And it's very important that you pay attention to what you feed your mind. So when you're going through a particular phase or a particular sort of misunderstanding, how do you process it? Because a lot of times I remind myself, look, my husband, he loves me, although sometimes it could be annoying. And he doesn't mean to be annoying to me, but sometimes he could be annoying, and I could be annoying as well. Example. Well, no, well, I could be annoying as well. Yeah. But it's all about you thinking that, look, this person actually loves me. He loves me so much, right? Maybe in that moment, that person is annoying, but it's all about you paying attention to what that annoyance is and not attributing that to how he feels in the relationship or how you feel towards him. Because then this can now change the whole dynamics of, conflict management and trying to settle whatever the issues are. Yeah. How you process it, your perception of that particular challenge, your perception of that particular issue in that time would impact on the way you react. Or how you come across to the other person. And that is why you find a lot of people who say, oh, I lost it. I couldn't cope with what she was saying to me or what he was saying to me, and I had to dish it out exactly the same way. So now you need to pay attention. You need to think about what you actually do and how you actually treat the other person in the relationship. Because this person is a human being.
Yeah, it's still down to personal growth.
Yeah.
There is an extent you develop yourself, your capacity, your mindset, that you know how to manage conflict. So that's an area. For instance, you're dealing, you know that there is always this recurring problem you guys are having. Reflect. Maybe how you're handling it is not the right approach. And think about the best way to do that.
Yeah.
That would mean you reading books. That could mean you listening to this kind of conversation, looking at videos. Information is very much available to everyone who wants. And then knowing that whatever issue you guys are having is not more important than your oneness. This is why I say to myself, if my wife and I are not close, if we don't feel it, if we are not connected, and we know that there is a barrier, every other thing can wait. We need to sort this out. Annoyingly, people put some of their issues under the carpet, and you see them go to, for those who go to church, they go to church and they pray, they do all the things they do in church, and issue is there. That's why sometimes you wonder, how did it happen? But I thought these guys they're so godly and so
perfect
friendly,
couple, right?
Because they've swept things under the carpet.
That's true.
But obviously you need to prioritize your oneness, and once the love is there, I see a comment, someone was saying love overdose of patience and all of those. When that love is there and it's unconditional, most people love conditionally. And I said the other time that before marriage you can love conditionally, but once you're married, you move away from conditional love to unconditional love, where your love is not dependent on the actions of the other. And once that love is there, it means your focus will always be, how do we always become one, become more intimate? How do we become the best version of
ourselves? Yeah.
So the point is, prioritize
your oneness. Now, let me just make this point, because as you were speaking, it was a point that came to mind, and that is around challenges. So the fact that this is something that could, affect oneness in relationship. And I want to say that, whoever you are in this world, wherever you are in this world, white, black, whatever your tribe, whatever your country, whatever it is you do, one thing that is common to all of us is challenges. That I don't know how to, if you're watching this, I think this is something that we really, really, really need to focus on. Just give me a bit of your attention. Challenges is common to everyone. Everyone.
Challenges, yeah.
There is no season where you say, challenges. This is a season where it's ended. No challenge season. No. There will always be challenges in our lives.
It's something to deal with.
It's a part of our lives. And we need to come to a point in our marriages where we are not flustered every single time we encounter challenges. We're not flustered. We need to come to a point where we embrace challenges as part of the whole show, the package, the total package. Yes, this is part of life. Challenge is part of life. So our life will not stop, would not stop being intentional, would not stop living our relationship because we've just encountered a challenge. So everything just goes to shred. I don't love you anymore. Oh my God, we don't have this, we don't have that. Everything about the relationship at that single moment will go to shred. And then when that challenge is, then that means your life, your relationship, the barometer of your love will constantly be
up and down.
Up and down.
Because there will always be up and down in life.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Challenges are guaranteed. It's guaranteed in life. Every phase we go through in marriages, we will always encounter challenges. As singles, we had our challenges. As married people, we had. So it's not like because we are married now, we've got challenges. It's just that the challenges have presented itself in a different way. So we need to come to a point where we can enjoy life with the challenges that life brings.
Embrace it.
Just embrace the challenge. This is something new. See it as a project. This is something new. Well, we haven't quite gone through this. This kind of is present. Maybe we've gone through this, but it's a kind of different kind of challenge. How do we tackle this? And if we have that outlook towards our challenges, I think that it would help us to have healthier relationships. I don't know. I felt I should mention this.
You said something very significant, and I think this is going to help someone out there. Like you said, there is never a point in life you get to where there are no challenges. But what I want to say to someone listening to us is that no matter how difficult a challenge is, let it be a rallying point for your relationship. Let it be that thing that brings the two of you together, because united people, even the Bible says, with unity, all things are possible. Once you guys are united in spirit, soul, and body, you will always
conquer,
circumvent that challenge. It's
true.
Not going to kill you. It will make you better. It will make you stronger. Don't give up on each other because there is a challenge. And then also look at it this way, that sometimes the challenge may not be about the marriage. It could be one of you in the marriage is facing life challenge. So now because he doesn't have a job, should the wife run away?
No.
Now because she's not healthy, something is wrong with her health, and you don't have the number of sexual episodes that you used to, will you now leave her? No. Love means you will stick together, deal with things together, and conquer together. So I want to encourage you listening to us. No matter the challenge, give it time. You will smile again. You would, have it as a story, as a memory to talk about how you guys overcame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the final one. There are a lot of things that we could talk about, but we know that our time is kind of very limited. So please, if you're just joining us, you're warmly welcome. And if you've got, your views, your comments, please just put it, on the comment section, and then we would kind of highlight it and maybe possibly discuss it. If you've got questions as well, please feel free to pop your questions on the chat as well. Now, the final thing that we felt is really important, because I think this is what
final.
Well, not final, but almost final. Thing is, now you're flustering me a little bit, is never compare your relationship with others. I think this is one thing that shakes some relationships, some marriages, like constantly like, oh, what is this person doing? Especially when you're like in a group of maybe old boys or old girls association or alumni network, and constantly people are sharing there on the platform or wherever, or maybe even on Facebook.
Social media. Just say social media, because go there, Facebook, Twitter, you Instagram, will always see things happening. Lovely couples smiling with wonderful appearance and all of those. And you think, what a world. Their life is beautiful and mine is ugly. My husband is not doing this. Her husband is doing that. They're going on holidays. And I'm not. I'm stuck where I am. Their children are in the best schools.
Constantly comparing.
Oh, what's going on? Yes. You know, he bought her a car. And
you know,
not even a card.
A card, yes.
So there's always something to compare.
Yes. And I think a lot of relationships put themselves.
Let me keep going. He wrote a nice thing about the wife on their
social media,
anniversary.
Right? And you forgot mine.
And you've not even posted my picture on social media to tell the world how much you love me.
That's true.
You know, there's always something to compare. There's always something to compare. But the thing is,
no two marriages are the same.
Yeah, what's working for the two of you?
Yeah. No two marriages are the same.
If I use that analogy as an example, if your husband is not the public type, the one that wants to show the world what's going on in terms of posting. Me, I like to post my So for instance, I like to, you know, share some posts and put our pictures there. Someone could say, let me not go into that.
Yes.
But my point is,
no two marriages are the same.
We are different.
Yes.
People's life are different.
Everyone is
different. Everyone live their life the way they want to live it, as long as it is working for you.
Oh, someone is saying the audio is off. Can you still hear us? I don't know. Can you still hear us, guys? Just let us know on the chat.
I think she said it's back again.
Are we back on? Can you all hear us?
Okay.
Okay, for a few seconds. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
So that comparison.
Is it still off, or are we back on, guys?
That comparison can go on and on and on and on. But the thing is, your life is your life. You have your pace. You have your priority. You have things you're working on. So keep on it. Keep at it and do the best that you can be.
Yep. Oh, thank you for acknowledging. We're back on. Fantastic, everyone.
So maybe I should go to the next point now.
No, it's important because I want to focus a little bit on this, because I think you only spoke about it. What we as ladies or women, we tend to fall into this trap of having to compare our relationship with others, right? And this puts a lot of burden on the husband. It puts a lot of burden on the marriage, where you're constantly trying to measure the standard of your relationship by somebody else's standard. And also puts a lot of burden on your children. Because I've seen a lot of people who compare, this person's child is acing his or her papers, and this other person is doing this, and this other person, and you're constantly doing that. Like, you cannot build your relationship based on other people's lived experience. You can't do that. You can't keep comparing and saying, oh, this is what XYZ person does. This is what is unique to your family. Celebrate your uniqueness. Stick to your uniqueness. I mean, in yourself, there's a lot of strength from both of you. And when you spend so much time looking outward, trying to compare, I'm not saying you can look at and have good examples of people who are doing great.
You can learn from what people are doing.
Learn from them. You can take 1 or 2 lessons, learn from them, but do not allow your relationship to go by other people's standards. Basically, that's what we're saying. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Life is progressive. And don't forget that a lot of times we're comparing ourselves to a 10-year-old relationship. For example,
you're even saying comparing. Let's look at it this way. Sometimes people compare their spouses with their parents. Compare with their parents' marriage. So, like me now, I'll say to you, but my mom used to do this.
Yep.
My mom used to do that to my dad.
And you don't do that.
Yeah. If we married like my parents,
yeah,
I'll be the king in the house where I don't touch anything, I don't do anything.
You sit down.
I'll sit down, watch my movie or watch TV while you do all the cooking, you do all the washing, you do. That was a traditional approach to marriage that in this contemporary society is not viable.
Absolutely.
So why should I put you under such pressure?
Yeah. True, that's because there are so many things that our parents did right, and there are so many things that
they didn't do well because it was working for them at the time.
Yeah, and don't forget to life is progressive, like I said. So maybe the phase of time, the environment where they are,
the culture,
a lot of things may have worked. But at the point where you are now and the kind of challenges you're facing, maybe your parents did not face those challenges.
Obviously.
So life in itself is different. And what we are saying in a nutshell is it's okay to have, some good examples, but do not allow those examples to dictate your life. And I think someone just echoed that, Pastor Princess have just also echoed that on the chat. So it is important that you build your own system. What is your family system? What is your family culture? What is your family? I mean, what do you, as a family, what are you guys known for? Why do we exist as a family? And it's very important that you have a family vision. Because if you don't have a family vision, then every other family's vision will become your vision. Basically, because you're constantly looking around and trying to mimic what somebody else is doing. And don't forget that, it's the same applies to personal vision in life. If you do not understand what you've been called to as a person, you're forced to live out somebody else's vision. If you do not understand what you've been called to as a family, you're forced to live out other families' vision. And it's very important that you understand, what are we doing? Why are we together as a family? And what is our family put here for? It's a very important question. And it's a conversation that you need to have. If not, you'll be blown around by every good, nice social media kind of family.
Yeah, very important, because marriage is not even an end in itself. People forget that marriage, family, whatever it is just a step, or it's just a reference point, is a platform, is a means to an end. And that end is for you to, fulfill God's intention for your life.
That's true.
So if a husband understands his intention, God's intention for his life, and a woman comes into his life, both of them are to complement each other to become the best that God has called them to be. Absolutely. So they have to do something that is bigger than their marriage. But if you miss it and think marriage is an end in itself, you are married, yes. You have children, yes. What next? You have money, yes. You career, yes. What next? And that becomes your finishing point.
Absolutely.
And you won't find that fulfillment anymore, because no person will fulfill you.
That's true.
Except you find fulfillment in what God has designed you to be. I think we should move to the next point now, if possible.
I think what you said actually links to the next point, which is on we're saying, don't allow yourself to switch into default mode in your relationship. Don't allow it. You have to be intentional. You have to be present. You have to be conscious of your relationship. You have to make sure that you're finding, what are the key strategies? How can I elevate my relationship? How can I elevate my marriage? How can I make it, better? And you have to make sure that if you find those strategies, you keep at it, you work it out, and make sure that, nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by chance. If you tend your garden is going to grow up very nice. It's going to be all lush. It's going to be blood. I mean, nothing happens by chance, including your relationship. You cannot just allow your relationship to just survive and just be there. You have to pay attention to your relationship.
So those things you were doing before that made you guys even decide to get married, keep doing them. Don't lose them. And then the last point we talk about the last point.
Yes.
The last point we want to share with you is be committed to your marriage. Be committed to your marriage. Different from being intentional. You could be intentional to an extent, but if you're not committed to it, it's not going to work. Be committed to your spouse. That commitment means come rain, come sunshine, I am there for you.
Yeah.
And your spouse needs to know that you are there. That's what it means to be faithful. That's what it means to be consistent. That's what it means to love someone. I am there for you. And I'm saying this to my wife, and she knows I am there for her. No matter what happens, because this thing is for life.
Yep.
I am committed to it, and I know she's committed to it. And it's a decision you have to make, not because everything is going to work out smoothly, not because life is going to be rosy, not because you won't have challenges, not because she will make you happy all the time. It's just because this is a choice you've made. Because you've chosen to do this, we define love as you doing your best and being your best, because you've decided to do your best
and be the
and
best.
to be the best for this one. That's why you are sure that commitment is going to pay off. Even when she's not doing the best that you expect from her, be consistent, be committed, because your commitment will be a motivation for her to do the best that she's supposed to do. Maybe you're listening to us and you're saying, this guy, you don't even understand what you're saying. Do you know the kind of person I'm married to? How imperfect, how wicked, how you can describe with different adjectives. But the point is, God has given you a responsibility, and that responsibility is to nurture your wife, to be the best that she's supposed to be, so that you can present her to yourself, So what you give is what you're going to get. If you're not getting the good results, change your strategy. Give the best. Maybe she doesn't want to, reciprocate your good gestures. Always remember, your circle of influence is what you can give, what you can do. You can't change her. You can't influence what she does or what he does.
Yeah. I also want to add to what you said that, consider your spouse your number one, a number one cheerleader for your spouse. The world in itself is toxic enough. The world in itself is challenging enough. The world in itself is hostile enough. And you just have to think about, how can I create a safe space for my spouse? A place where my spouse can come back to and they feel so safe to share. They feel so vulnerable to the point that I know I can be vulnerable with this woman without being taken advantage of. And everyone needs a safe space, because there's a lot happening out there. And I'd say it is very important that you keep your marriage, you create a safe space within your marriage, just so your spouse will be able to speak up when they're going through difficulties. They can trust you enough, to share, these are the things I'm going through. But if they don't feel safe, there's no way they're going to share. There's no way they're going to open up. And you wonder, oh, my husband is so uptight, or my wife is so uptight. And that's because they don't feel that this is a safe space for me to really share, and be vulnerable with you. So it is very important. And I would say that, just to kind of cap up on all that we've said, and please do feel free to put your comments on the chat, please. I would just highlight them in a moment. Just make sure that you look after your mind. See, the mind is so powerful. The mind is so creative. The mind is so innovative. And if we can only understand how powerful our mind is, we would look after our minds. We would always try as much as possible to process what we actually process through our mind. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I remind myself, look, I have to fast on negative words. I have to fast on negative thoughts. Because if I don't fast on negative thoughts, it comes out in my words. And I just want to give it to you guys as a challenge, like as a mind your relationship challenge. Just think about fasting on negative thoughts.
Not just negative thoughts.
Because
maybe negative actions
No,
towards your
because
spouse.
don't forget what you said. You said that, you know, it's our actions are as a result of what we have processed in our minds, our thoughts. And that's why I said mind. It's very important that you pay attention to your thoughts, because that informs your action, that informs your speech, what you say, how you treat them, you know, the kind of words that we kind of, you know, dole out. If you pay attention and, you know, clean up your mind and, you know, just be intentional about what you think and how you process what your spouse is doing to you. You know, don't see it like, oh, this is an enemy. I have to attack all the time. They speak to me, I have to attack. Just see it as, look, we're in this relationship together, and give them a benefit of a doubt. They might have done it for several reasons. And if we can just have that sort of conversation rather than processing it in a different way, I think we'll have healthier relationships.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, please mind your marriage. Make it your number one priority. Enjoy it, because God wants you to have the best, the most amazing, beautiful, blissful relationship. We wish you the same.
Yes. So let me just highlight some of the comments. Some people are saying here, Ada said, thank you. I never really thought of that challenges are present in life. In retrospect, it is true. Yes, definitely. And I'll also highlight some of the comments. I think Pastor Princess says you cannot build your relationship based on other people's lives experience. Learn from others, and then let it not dictate your own relationship. Amazing. Fantastic. Foundation for Family, it says, be committed to your marriage. Awesome. Fantastic. Thanks for chiming in. Princess also said there would be challenges, yes, but if both have the same goal, you will support each other and reach your goal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, well, this is just comments from our viewers. Awesome session. We must mind our marriage. Yes, absolutely. We must mind our marriage. So mind your marriage. Make it a priority. Love, love, love. Okay, fantastic. So it's been an amazing time. And I would just want to ask you all, if you're just, you know, new to our channel, please just hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. And yes, we appreciate you, Thelma. We do appreciate you. And we appreciate every single one who have taken our time this weekend just to join this live. We do appreciate you. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining in. And it's just a sign up from us. Goodbye. I want to say good night. No, it's not night yet. And please, if you've not been on any of our platforms, do visit some of the contents that we have already. Okay, so thank you for joining the conversation today, and do have a fantastic Saturday. Goodbye, everyone.